Hi, this is János and the channel is Real World Audio, and we will be exploring the Cube Audio FC8 drivers and also the Fostex FE204 vintage driver that was in my Voigt pipe. And we have the two experts, Kintaro there, Machiko there, helping us with the explanation. And why I am doing this? As you see, we have a Voigt pipe here, and you have seen my Voigt pipe, but it was standing. It was standing up here, and now it's laying down. Why is that? Because if you want to take out the driver, do it like this. Do not have a standing pipe and then you try to take out the driver, you remove the screws, and it just falls out. And then you end up with a damaged driver that you dropped on the floor from a meter height, and then you can kiss your driver bye-bye, and probably your floor will just accumulate some massive damage as well. And you don't want to do that, so always remove drivers either from your Voigt pipes, or if you have other speakers, when you do this, just lay them flat and then remove them in this orientation. It will save you both your drivers and the use of vulgar language that accompanies such loss and mishap. So what's going on here? And as you see, I will be changing these two drivers because both of these are full range drivers. That's how these drivers are called. And are they full range? Can they reproduce, let's say, 1 hertz to 100 kilohertz? Of course they cannot. However, they can reproduce a very wide range of frequencies. The Fostex FE204 could reproduce in this cabinet with this internal cabling, with these tweaks that I did on this driver. It was very comfortable going from 30 Hertz, yes, 30 Hertz to 18 kilohertz. That's a pretty nice wide band. And of course you can say that, well, I have now these $500 ELAC speakers and they can do more than that. And you are absolutely right, they can do more in the frequency department. However, when you compare the quality of what's being reproduced, there's a night and day difference. And that's because when you have a single driver reproducing the sound, there is no crossover. So there is no crossover in this speaker. Those internal wires just go to the connector and you connect your speaker cables directly there, and there's no crossover whatsoever eating up your signal. Because the crossover, that's what it does. It eats up part of the signal, converts it to heat, and also it changes the frequency of the energy that's transmitted into your driver. And you will say, well, okay, I have two drivers, the frequencies change this way for the tweeter, change that way for the woofer, we are okay. But no, we are not okay, because there's the crossover between them, and they do not add up completely perfectly. And of course, ELAC has wonderful designers, and every loudspeaker manufacturer has wonderful designers, so they can calculate an optimal crossover behavior that's on axis. So when you are sitting at the exact center of your listening position, you are neither slouching, you are neither standing up, you are right here, then you are getting the right stuff. But if you move a little bit away, then you are getting those nasties that the crossover puts in the signal. Also, your room provides more than 50% of the sound you are hearing, and you are getting the room reflections as more than 50% of the total volume you are getting. So although even if you have like a perfect behavior from on axis at your sweet spot, that's just 50% of the energy you are receiving. The other 50% is coming from your room, and it's chock full with those errors that are created because you have different sources for those different frequencies, and there's different crossover behavior for both of them, and different dispersion behavior, different room reflections, and it's going to become a mess. So here we don't have that. Everything is coming from the center here, coming out. Of course, we have a main cone and a visor cone. Same thing for the Fostex, and same for the cube audio. We have the main cone here in the bottom and the visor cone here. And now, so here in both of these cases, and you buy any other full range drivers or single drivers or wideband drivers, these are all same names for the same type of driver. And one more thing before I continue my previous thought is that these full range drivers, the bigger the diameter gets, the deeper in frequency response they go. And when these are the 8-inch diameter drivers, so what does that mean? Is the cone 8-inch? No, the cone is only 6-inch. Are we being cheated? No, you are not, because this is typical loudspeaker driver nomenclature, that the size of the driver is not defined by the cone, but it's defined by the basket size. So when we look at the basket, look at that, it's a little bit over 8-inch. It's 8.5-inch basket. So that's why it's called 8-inch driver. And when we look at the cube audio, yeah, it's almost 9 inches, because the basket is a little wider. And when you look at the cone itself, I try to measure it, you see that's 6 inches. And we are doing the same for cube audio, and here, there, from there to there. And here it might seem that here we have a perspective distortion, so it's showing much less. But I did, before I started shooting this video, I did a proper measurement, and here you see the cone goes up to that point. Maybe I shall be using something else, like up to there. So part of the surround, where the surround is flat, that's on the edge of the cone. So that's where the surround stops. So you have to measure from there to there, and that's exactly 6 inches. And the same thing here, from there to there. And now, why this optically seems a little larger, that's because the surround here is glued to the underside. So can we see that? Maybe yes, maybe no. So it's this surround is glued under the cone, and here it's glued over the cone, so that visually makes the cone slightly smaller, but it's the exact same size, even though visually they might appear a little different. However, what's the real difference between these cones is the visor cone size. So here it's 3 inches and a quarter in diameter. Let's maybe just have a look at it. Is it 3 inches? Yeah, kind of like that. Maybe you can see it's about 3 inches. Yeah, about 3 inches in diameter. Now we have some perspective distortion because I'm holding it a little higher, but before with 2 hands I could place it down here and take a measurement, and it was 3 inches and a quarter. And when doing the same thing for the cube audio, it's almost 4 inches. So I'm holding it there. We are almost 4 inches. That's about it. A little bit less than 4. So we have over half an inch wider visor cone for the cube audio. And as you see, we have a face plug in there, and that's not part of the moving structure. that's on the inside, and then the visor cone, it moves with the big cone. So this part moves, that part doesn't move. And here, this is the dust cap instead of that face plug. We have here a dust cap, and in the center there's a hole, and that hole is there. That's the venting piece. So it's venting air. So when the cone moves out, it sucks air in, and then when the cone pushes, it pushes the air out. And that's an opposite phase behavior. That's not the very best thing to happen, because that gives information in the exact opposite phase where the driver is moving. However, as you see, the diameter is really, really tiny. And that means that with that sort of diameter, it's like 30 kilohertz plus frequencies which are reproduced in opposite phase. And here we don't have that air moving because that part is not being pressurized by a dust cap on top. There's nothing riding there. It's stable. So when the cone is moving up and down, it acts as an aerodynamic shaper, like a wave shaper, to aid, to help the wave propagation, which is a really nice thing. And when you look at my these old Alnico speakers drivers, this is what I did myself. So this had the same thing, the dust cap on the inside with the hole in the middle. I cut it out and then made for myself this wooden face plug. And that was a nice improvement. So here I could have done it with my Fostex driver, but I have not done it anyway. And here, Cube Audio, Grzegorz was really smart, and he did it. He did not skip on that part. And we can already expect thumbs up from that aspect of the driver. And let's see what else is different and what else is common between these two drivers. Can I flip it open a little bit? Now you see I have done here something which is a tweak. This is what I added here. This is wax. Actually, it's paraffin wax that we use for a tissue embedding, and I saturated it with ferrite. This is 20 micron size ferrite particles, and what it's doing is that I put it around the ferrite band, because this driver looks just like this, that there's a metal backing, and on top you see there is this band of ferrite. So that's a ferrite magnet that runs around like a band. But as you see, the edge of the ferrite magnet is, you see that the 90 degrees cut. And the magnetic fields don't like that sharp drop. So what I can do, so this is a ferrite magnet, so add a moldable ferrite to it to make it smoothen it out, so it's not a sudden break, but it's a nice soft transition. And that's what I did here, and that made a very nice touch to the driver sound. It you know, when they talk about how ferrite drivers are lower in sound quality compared to Alnicos, that they don't have that nice tone, this little tweak helps them to get closer to the Alnico tone, because one, it's not just the difference between Alnico and ferrite driver, that the material of the magnet, but also how the motor is shaped. So in the Alnico motor, there are no sudden breaks like with the ferrite motors, and by doing this little tweak, you are getting rid of the deficiency of the magnetic circuit. And I will apply this tweak also on the Fc8. However, what I will do is I will try them without any tweaking first, let them break in, and after they break in, that's when I will start doing the tweaking, adding the modifications, and I will report to you how that changes the sound, because I believe for those of you who have these drivers, you are really eager to know about these tweaks, how you can just get even more out of these wonderful drivers. So I think we are now pushing 15 minutes. So thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and we will continue having our fun. Bye bye.